Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. Well, what's happening? It's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been getting bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technical, on-chain, and fundamental analysis every single day of the week. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about one cryptocurrency to rule them all, one cryptocurrency to take them all, one cryptocurrency to... it's been a while since I've watched The Lord of the Rings. How does it go? One cryptocurrency to rule them all. This is not the one cryptocurrency that does currently rule them all, named Bitcoin, but this may be the one cryptocurrency that goes ahead and rules this next rally, because there is one particular cryptocurrency, and for once I haven't alluded to it in the thumbnail or the title or the description. I'm going to hold off just a little bit and I'll show you. One cryptocurrency that may go ahead and kick us into the stratosphere for Bitcoin. We're going to talk about the setup that Bitcoin is currently under right now, because it is incredible. And within just a week, we could be witnessing a major rally on Bitcoin, and this other cryptocurrency could be the one that causes it to start. Very exciting times. I'm very excited to be here. Really looking forward to Coffee and Crypto Live with you guys every single weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Let's go ahead and read some green names. Thank you guys, by the way, so much for tuning in and continuing to watch the show and being enthusiastic about what we're doing here. I've got great content ideas coming down the pike. One of them we're going to start working on tomorrow. I'm very excited about that. Technically, I've been working on this one for a while, but you'll probably be seeing this one within the next week or two. No promises. Crazy stuff keeps happening. We could have our daughter at any point, but the plan is that you should be able to see a little bit of a change to something relatively soon. Very excited about it. All right, we've got Oh My in chat. Was the first. As you guys know, we like to read the first name in chat, and we also like to read all of the green names. Oh My said, "Good morning, fam. Hope everyone has a good day. Hashtag FinSov." Let's hear it for FinSov in chat. Really, really love that concept of financial sovereignty. That is the idea where you have control over your money and your money does not have control over you. That's what we are striving for here. Mistakes happen. Sometimes we don't always do the right thing to put ourselves in that direction, but in general, we want to be moving in that direction towards financial sovereignty. That is where we want to be. We've also got Win Peoples in chat. He said, "Good morning, all." I suppose I can't say for certain that it's a he, but Win Peoples, I do believe, is a he. Shout out to you, Win Peoples, for being in chat. Good morning to you as well. We've also got Grand Roofing Incorporated in chat. Shout out to you, my friend. I just absolutely love this microphone, by the way, because it lets me get like really just down there in the bass part of my voice. It just works really well with my voice. And by the way, I'm grabbing the chat on my phone so that I can make sure I'm seeing the green names, because YouTube Studio is giving me a little bit of trouble with that lately. We've got Siobhan Golay in chat. Said, "Good morning, Jebb and everyone. Night for me as always." Haha. Good night to you, Siobhan Golay, over in, I believe, India, correct? Tell me if I'm wrong, but shout out to India and all of our fans from the subcontinent and country of India. We got Mike Lowry in chat as well. Said, "Good evening, sir," to Siobhan Golay. We've got a lot of really, really, really nice people in chat. We've got a great stream going here. Grand Roofing Incorporated said, "I'll be in and out of chat. I've got to keep working." There you go, man. Don't blame you. Nate said, "Jebb, how's the family?" I'll be in and out of chat also because I've got to keep working. I'm sorry. That was terrible. The joke being that YouTube is my job and I love my job. So I'll be in and out of chat as well. That was awful. I need to be disciplined for that one. Crypto Smitty here in chat as well. Crypto Mini Bike in chat. Crypto Ben Franklin, the classic IT guy, CBD Suddy, Matt C. Wow, we've got a lot of fans and a lot of friends here in chat today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Eric Hardcastle said, Jebb, shave your head. Sarah, what would you think about me shaving my head? She just looked at me and went. For anyone who's wondering, that is my wife, Sarah. She is here in studio with us, as always, behind the camera. All right. Really appreciate all of you guys tuning in, as always, like I said. Let's go ahead and jump right on to CoinMarketCap, and you guys will start to see what I'm talking about when I say that a certain cryptocurrency, to rule them all, could be the one that would allow us to go into a rally, and it fits perfectly in with the, how should I say, theorem of what I believe is going on in the market right now. At the moment, Bitcoin is currently trading at $23,000 and change. It's rallied ever so slightly over the last 24 hours. We are up nearly 40% year to date. Ethereum is currently sitting at $1,667.90. It is up 1.85% over the last 24 hours. Interesting. Binance Coin up 0.25%, up 25 basis points, if you will. XRP up 1%. Cardano up 2.5%. We love to see it. Dogecoin sitting at a blistering 9 cents, up 45%. We've got Solana up 2%. Obviously, Solana's been having a pretty strong recovery ever since it flash crashed straight through the floor, down into the pits of the earth, and then out on the other side in China, and now it's starting to come back. And is starting to try and recover some of that market. And that's kind of, this is something I want to point out about Solana. I'm not the biggest fan of Solana. Solana has been hacked. Solana has had outages. Solana has had a lot of problems with the way it was developed, and I don't think it was developed with the best ideology, methodology, whatever you want to say, behind it. That being said, it does have adoption, it does have a community, it does have fundamental intrinsic value, even if I disagree with a lot of the ways that it's built. And I will give it that. And that just goes to show you that if a cryptocurrency falls too low, Springboard, it's rallied 136% year to date to recover a lot of those losses. It dropped too far. And it is managing now to have a big rally to recover itself. And that just goes to show you that cryptocurrencies do have real value. Solana does have real value. Make no mistake. I think it might be overvalued, but it's not up to just me. I'm a market participant, but it's up to all of the market participants what the value of a certain cryptocurrency is. And obviously, to the market, Solana is worth more than $10. At the moment, it's worth $23.50, if not even more. It's rallying a lot. So that's just something I want to remind you guys, that anybody that says that cryptocurrency is worth nothing, zilch, then I ask them the question, why didn't Solana go to zero and stay there? There's no answer to that. The reason it rallied was because it did have value. Otherwise, people wouldn't have bought the thing. There is value in this market. There's a lot of value in this market. In fact, there's $1 trillion worth of value in this market. You can argue all day as to whether or not that's overblown, whether it's too high or it's too low or whatever. The fact of the matter is, at the moment, cryptocurrency, depending on who you ask, is worth just over $1 trillion. And that is something that we cannot ignore. Whenever Bitcoin tries to go too far to the downside, it bounces. Whenever Solana tries to go too far to the downside, it bounces. Whenever Ethereum tries to go too far to the downside, it bounces. It rallies. Boom. Get the snaps in there. It continues to move to the upside. Even if it is in a bear market, it doesn't go down to zero. It goes down to somewhere around the previous all-time high and then bounces and rallies. There's growth in the market. If anybody tells you that crypto has no value, point them to CoinMarketCap on the first line where it says market capitalization $1 trillion. That's real money. This is real value, just so you know. This is not fake money. This is, 11 years ago, sure, you may have had an argument like, oh, it's fake money. What does that mean? That's nothing. That nobody's ever going to take that seriously. Well, when you've got entire nations adopting Bitcoin, you do have to take it seriously. Because it is real money. Because the only reason that any kind of money is real money is because people transact in it. Agri beads have been real money before. Glass beads have been real money before. Shells have been real money before. Arrowheads have been real money before. Shark's teeth have been real money before. Giant stones that are about 10 tons in size in Polynesia have been real currency before. Just because somebody says that that's not real money, that's not up to us. That's like saying, fam is not a real word, but, 50 million high school students use it. Like, it is a real word to them. That's my point. Cryptocurrency is real money, and it is doing very well. It is going through a correction, but that's what happens in nascent markets. The stock market's seen worse in its history, make no mistake. All right, so what is the cryptocurrency in the title that I think has the potential to kick off a massive rally? Quite simply, it's the one you probably expected. It's Ethereum. Why Ethereum? Well, even before I jump onto the chart, let me just explain something I've explained this multiple times, but let me just catch you up in case you haven't heard of this idea that I have. I have an idea of something called the altcoin engine. And essentially what the altcoin engine is as follows. Essentially what you see happen is you see Bitcoin go through a rally, and then it corrects. And while it's correcting, if that money does not go out of the market, but at least a large enough percentage of it goes back into the altcoins, then that will cause the altcoins to rally while Bitcoin's down, because people are taking their profits out of Bitcoin. They're not putting it outside of the market. Instead, they're returning it back into another subset of the market, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, a stablecoin, what have you. And that transaction of valuation between Bitcoin on the one hand and the other cryptocurrencies on the other hand creates what I like to call the altcoin engine. And essentially what you see happen is that Bitcoin goes on a big rally. We've seen that. Okay, check one. Boom. Bitcoin ran on a 40% rally. Then what you see occur is that people start taking profits because, gee willikers, I just made a ton of money. If you bought it on no leverage at the bottom, selling it now, you made 40%. You bought it on 5x leverage, you made 200%. It's not uncommon for people to trade that market and make on 5, 10x leverage 50 or 100%. And so what are they going to do? They're going to cash out, lock in those gains, and then reposition that cryptocurrency in those gains in one of two places. Either one, they're going to take them out of the market and they're going to go buy their new fancy Maserati, or two, they're going to put it back into another investment that is similar to the investment that just made them so much money, especially if that investment is on the same trajectory but is further behind. What I mean by that is that if you look into the history of Bitcoin and Ethereum, let's just look on here. This will be the easiest way to do this. Let's look on the Brave New Coin Liquid Index for Bitcoin, and I'll just go ahead and plot Ethereum over US dollars on top of it. If we plot ETH over USD on top of this chart for Bitcoin, what you're going to see is shocking. You're going to see that very often Ethereum rallies after Bitcoin. If we look here at 2017, you can see Bitcoin hit all-time high. About a month and a half later, Ethereum hit all-time high. Bitcoin was rallying, and Ethereum outpaced it at first, but then Bitcoin came in. If we go back to the beginning of this bull market, you can just see how they go back and forth. Sometimes they're rallying at the same time, but oftentimes one of them is completely and totally outpacing the other. Just looking back here into 2016, you can see Ethereum. Bitcoin rallied, then Ethereum rallied, then they rallied together. Then Ethereum was going down while Bitcoin was going up. Sometimes they're moving together, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're moving in tandem, but normally when you're seeing the most explosive movements, you're seeing the movement you're seeing the majority of the money go into one of them, and then the other one slumps. So we see a little bit of a rally here on Bitcoin, a big rally on Ethereum. That was, at this point in time, an area where Ethereum, which you could basically say that Ethereum represents the rest of the cryptocurrency, the rest of the altcoins, because it kind of does. It's the alpha of altcoins, as I've called it before. Whenever Bitcoin isn't doing too well, Ethereum normally is. We're talking in bull market terms here. Whenever Bitcoin's doing very well, a lot of times Ethereum is behind. And that's what we saw on the all-time high. Bitcoin hit all-time high, then Ethereum did. You scroll forward to the next all-time high. Not here, but you look here into 2020 and 2021, Bitcoin was outpacing Ethereum the entire time. And then guess what happened? Ethereum caught up at the very end and then went through a correction. And then moving into the next cycle, Ethereum was keeping almost perfect pace with Bitcoin, but then ended up outpacing Bitcoin just a little bit right here, moving right up into September 6th, I think it was, whenever El Salvador adopted Bitcoin. Then you move forward, and what's going on here? Ethereum rallied a little bit more in the beginning, then it slowed down a little bit towards the middle, and now it's rallying even more towards the end. Ethereum was in the smaller, if you zoom in and look at the detail, it was rallying faster here than Bitcoin was. Then it was rallying a little bit slower here than Bitcoin was, and now it's moving a little bit faster than Bitcoin. There's a trade-off. The market is saying, okay, your turn, okay, your turn, okay, your turn, and they're handing the piston, the metaphorical piston, the driver of the cryptocurrency market itself, off to each other. They are switching back and forth in what I call that altcoin engine. It's not just Ethereum, so looking at the Ethereum market alone is not the be-all, end-all of what I'm talking about, but you do see this trend happen quite frequently, where you have one or many altcoins taking the gains and the profits that are made from the rally on Bitcoin, and they're moving them into the altcoins. Now what we're seeing happen is striking. We're seeing that Bitcoin is losing slight amounts of market dominance. You can see that over here on CoinMarketCap. And really, this doesn't show up the best when you're looking at the difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin, because what you really need to be looking at here is the market dominance. But you can even see over just the last little while, Bitcoin took off on market dominance. It went up from 39% all the way up to 42.5%. Now it's having a correction, and the others category is catching up. Rallied to 42.5%. Now it's down to 41.34, down 1.125% over just the last week and a half. This others category at the same time, that others category being pretty much everything outside of the top 10, you can see that others category has been gradually increasing. So Bitcoin is losing slight amounts of market dominance because the other altcoins are catching up with it. And now you're seeing that those other altcoins are starting to take the lead in a slight way. So what does that mean? Well, essentially what that tells me is that I am interested in Bitcoin having a breakthrough. I am interested in Bitcoin having a pretty big rally. I am interested in Bitcoin holding its support. But what I'm actually more interested in, to be totally honest with you, is whether or not Ethereum can break this level of resistance. Because let's compare. Let's just go back to Bitcoin for a second and bring up that comparison once more. Come right here, bring up ETH over USD. Looking here on the hourly chart, what's the difference that you can see here? During this time, towards the end of January, Ethereum was below Bitcoin on a relative scale. Currently, though, Ethereum, for the most part, is above Bitcoin on a relativistic scale. Ethereum is starting to outpace Bitcoin, whereas let's just take right here. Maybe this would be fair. During this time, let's just look at 700 hours on the 24th of January. It's 15 days ago, almost exactly. Bitcoin has moved to the upside pretty much zilch. If we look at a similar territory, now we're looking at 700 hours on January 24th. If we look at 700 hours January 24th on Ethereum, on the other hand, and again, this is a very, very hard thing to see because where do you measure from? I mean, seriously, you got to really kind of figure out where you're planning on measuring. You can see Ethereum's up 2.45%. You would really need a moving average moving through here, so let's just go ahead and turn on a moving average. Let's turn on our 20 moving average, sure. Here's the 20 simple moving average. Do you see how it's kind of trending to the upside? It's setting new higher highs and new higher lows. Look at Bitcoin. It peaked, and now it's moving down. The moving average, in my opinion, is a great way of seeing this. And you can see it probably more clearly on the 50. You see the 50 moving average is rallied, and now it's starting to plateau. You look over at Ethereum, and it's continuing to march forward. It's continuing to march higher. The average price of Ethereum is increasing, whereas Bitcoin's is flattening out or plateauing, is flattening out or dropping. So that leaves us with technical analysis on Ethereum. Could Ethereum be about to go through a major breakout, a catalytic event that could be the next phase of the altcoin engine's piston switching mechanism that would allow Bitcoin to break above its resistance, driving the entire market into a rally? Well, there is a lot to talk about there, and we're going to dive into all of it. We're going to start with the technicals, then we're going to go into the macro, and then we're going to draw our conclusions. But yes, I'll go ahead and tell you up front, at this point, it looks to me like Ethereum will be the next mover in this bull market territory because, funnily enough and excitingly enough, crypto has managed to stay up here above $22,000 on Bitcoin, above $1 trillion on total, and above $1,600 on ETH, and that is good. Bingo. All right. Let's go ahead and continue looking here at the chart. As you know, Bitcoin is in this downtrend, a slight downtrend over the last week or so. Ethereum is not. Ethereum had tested this resistance level at 1677 one time back on Friday, January the 20th. At this point, we have now tested it no less than 3 times. You could argue far more than that because we're basically just sitting up here and camping up here around 1677. And by the way, that resistance level is the same resistance level that we have been using as the resistance that the market rallied to right before FTX collapsed. Bitcoin, mind you, has already broken above that level. That level for Bitcoin sits at 21,500. On Ethereum, that level sits at 1677. So Ethereum needs to break that level very, very soon if it's going to be able to keep up with Bitcoin. But by the way, since they didn't break at the same time, Bitcoin breaking that level brought a lot of exuberance to the market, and now Ethereum could do the exact same thing relatively soon. I'm going to do something that's so painful. I'm going to remove all of my drawings. Oh, ow, that hurt. Yeah, it's really painful to remove all your drawings. Let's do it again. Ow, man, it's like I just had to get a shot or something. Gosh. Anyway, the point I'm making here is that this level right here at 21.5 is the level that Bitcoin needed to break before. Now it needs to break this level next at 25. That level is constituted by August the 14th resistance, and then it also wanted to break this medium level. Ethereum has all 3 of those exact same levels. Those 3 levels are right here. They're right here for that level that Bitcoin just barely broke, and this is the August 14th high. You can see the comparison between where Bitcoin is in relation to these three levels and where Ethereum is. Ethereum has not started breaking through them. Bitcoin has broken through two of them. So it stands to reason that Bitcoin would need more time to correct. What it also stands to reason then is that if Bitcoin was able to break through both of these levels, why not ETH? Especially if when you zoom in on Ethereum, it has a very strong uptrending level of support. Depending on how you draw this uptrending level of support, it is hyper powerful, and the market has been able to very strongly confirm it. Let me just go ahead and switch my colors here because I like to use red as resistance, and one of these days I'm going to say red as resistance. I'm going to turn it brown because I'm colorblind. But anyway, I like to use red or a darker color anyway as resistance, blue as support. Depending on how you draw your trend line, Ethereum is above critical levels of support and it's being driven very powerfully into that resistance at 1687, 1677, whatever the exact level you want to call it. I think 1677 was probably a little bit more accurate, so we'll put it right there. But that's my point. Ethereum is very close to breaking above that resistance, and if it does, it will do a couple of things. Number one, it will drive total market capitalization above its current resistance at $1 trillion. 50 billion. Oh man, we're going to do it again. Oh goodness, this is going to be the most painful one to remove because this chart, I've been adding to this chart for like all year. I've been adding to it all year and probably half of last year. Ow. Okay, well, sometimes you just got to rip it off like a Band-Aid. There you go. We have a clean chart now. It feels good. It just doesn't feel good to do it, but it feels good when you have it. There you go. So just like on Bitcoin and Ethereum, total has the exact same three levels. Those three levels are right here, which is the pre-FTX high, right here, which is the mid-September high, and then right here, which is the August 14th, August 13th, August 15th high, somewhere in that territory. Just comparing these three charts, let's just go ahead and turn these red for the visuals of it. You'll be able to see that Bitcoin is ahead of both of those other markets, the two other most important markets in cryptocurrency right now. Bitcoin has broken two of these, and in fact, has turned two of them into support, so let's turn those back to blue, actually. Whereas, if you look at total, it has not broken any of them concretely. We're still hitting our head on $1 trillion 31 billion, and we're not actually technically above that right now. We're actually technically below that right now. And remember, that's the local top we set pre-FTX. Bitcoin's already broken the local top it set pre-FTX. Then you look down at Ethereum. It has not broken above any of those levels either. So if Bitcoin was able to break above these levels, and Bitcoin is able to hold up here and continue to demand confidence from the bulls, then why wouldn't we have reason to believe, anyway, that there is a very strong possibility of a breakout bullish here over the next few days? I'm not terribly bullish on Bitcoin right now, to be clear, and I'll tell you why again here in a minute, though we talk about it quite a bit here on the channel. I am, however, quite bullish on ETH, because Ethereum looks like it's about to break bullish here. So let's go ahead and do some analysis then. What is our analysis going to show us on ETH? Well, frankly, it's going to show us some bullish, some bearish, and we're going to have to just sit back and wait and see, but at least we can be prepared. One of the first things that jumps out on me on Ethereum is this. We did have bullish MACD. We have had a bearish cross. I wouldn't try and look at this through a narrow-minded point of view, though, because obviously you're going to have a bearish cross when you're this bullish and then you're that bullish. We're still bullish. The bearish cross indicates to us that, yes, we're not as bullish as we were, but we're still moving to the upside. So I'm not too worried about this bearish cross here on the MACD. The fact is MACD is still bullish, and it could very easily turn bullish. It is still above zero level, and it could very easily turn bullish once again at any point in time here. The thing that is a little bit concerning to me, though, is that we do have uptrending levels of resistance here on Ethereum, and we do have a very strong downtrending level of resistance here on the RSI. That is what we call classical bearish RSI divergence, and that is typically something that will drive the market to the downside. On top of that, looking at our ascending wedge pattern here, the ascending wedge typically has a 70% chance of breaking to the downside. So looking at our oscillators, looking at our chart formations, not exactly the best idea of not exactly the best prediction of what the market is going to do. Now, to play devil's advocate, you could argue that this is not, in fact, a rising wedge because we don't have candle bodies up there. And if you're judging by just the candle bodies, which, in my opinion, probably would be more appropriate here, this looks a whole lot more like an ascending triangle pattern than an ascending wedge. Ascending triangle patterns typically are going to act like bull flags. That would give us a price target of $2,200. Not sure we're going to go that far, but the point is it is bullish. Again, it depends on how you draw that pattern. I would lean more in the direction of an ascending triangle pattern because it corroborates, it's corroborated by quite a bit of the other evidence rather than that rising wedge. I think that is going to give you a more comprehensive view of where Ethereum is right now if you use that as an ascending triangle pattern rather than a rising wedge. Another thing to mention here is that if Ethereum does go through a correction, it's not exactly the end of the world for a couple of reasons. Well, I mean, obviously it's not the end of the world, but it's actually not a bad thing for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, we have support historically here around $1,500. Also, $1,500 is a big even, so we'll just go ahead and draw this level right here at $1,500. And this is kind of baby blue color, whatever color that is. If Ethereum did have a correction here and dropped down to $1,500, then it would form a cup and handle formation, and the cup and handle formation has the exact same price target methodology as we talked about before, almost down to the exact level. That gives us a price target of $2,100, which is that level of resistance right there. If we do have a big breakout on Ethereum above $1,800, then you're going to send total through a major rally, which is going to put a lot of confidence in Bitcoin. Then Bitcoin will start rallying, and Bitcoin could possibly go up and break 25K. So the point I'm making here is that this is the first domino that has to fall. Ethereum needs to break above 1677, and if it does, it naturally it must send total through its resistance, all things being the same in the rest of crypto. That confidence out of Ethereum and out of Bitcoin and out of total will almost certainly send Bitcoin into a rally, probably up to at least $25,000. If it breaks 25K, off to the races. We're going to 30K on Bitcoin, and ETH is going to 2,500 at least. We're sitting on a knife's edge right now, waiting for a massive breakout that could be right around the corner. We're just waiting for a catalytic event, and I think I know what it'll be. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But first, let's go ahead and look at Lux Algo on Ethereum, because Lux Algo is an incredibly important indicator, especially in times like this where we have a confirmed trend, but we're trying to see if it's going to continue. So the daily chart for Lux Algo on Ethereum looks, quite frankly, not as good as Bitcoin. But Ethereum also hasn't rallied as far as Bitcoin, so that makes sense. But it does look good. I'll tell you why. We have a strong buy signal that came in on January 9th. Then we saw the confirmation from the trend catcher come in on January 19th. The trend catcher is currently fighting to stay above the EQ cloud. That is a good thing. That indicates bullishness. If this trend catcher was green and the EQ cloud was like up here and the trend catcher was below the EQ cloud, I wouldn't be all that excited. But I am pretty happy to see the trend catcher being above the EQ cloud. Similar thing is going on right now over on Bitcoin. Excuse me. The trend catcher is quite a bit above the EQ cloud, that being this right here. Looking back to ETH, we did have a brief sell signal, but it kind of makes sense. Ethereum did not rally as much as Bitcoin. Did have a pretty substantial drop here for a little while. We did correct at grand total almost 10%, so it makes sense. Very soon thereafter, we did have a strong buy signal come back in. This sell signal never turned strong by changing the candlestick colors red. Instead, we came back in with a strong buy signal, and we're still currently under that strong buy signal. This sell signal was invalid because it was not confirmed by trend catcher, which makes this buy signal invalid because it was not following a confirmed sell signal, which means that as a Lux Algo analyst, you can successfully and confidently ignore both of those signals and just go off of this one. The last time we saw a confirmed buy signal on Ethereum that looked this good was a very long time ago. This was a confirmed buy signal, not even close. We did not touch the trend. We did not touch the reversal zone. Trend catcher never got above EQ cloud. EQ cloud was not bullish. This was a confirmed strong buy signal. I wouldn't have even cared about it, to be honest with you, until we saw Bitcoin and the EQ cloud make a big change. If we kept going up for another 2 or 3 weeks here, then yeah, great, that'd be different. Looking back in time here, though, you look at this buy signal, it is confirmed. Here's the problem. This confirmed buy signal never sent Bitcoin into the reversal zone. We almost got there, but we didn't get there. And then we saw a sell signal 6 days after we got there, and it was confirmed immediately. We saw bullish EQ cloud, but it took a very long time. Same thing over here. These are 2 confirmed buy signals, but I would have weeded them out by the fact that the EQ cloud was not giving them confidence. These confirmed buy signals over here were great. We saw the EQ cloud was bullish. We hit into the reversal zone, as you can see here, and we were in a bull market, which makes you more bullish as a predisposition than you would in a bear market where we are right now, because we're moving out of a bear market into an accumulation phase. The last time I would have said we saw a buy signal this strong would probably have been either this buy signal right here or one of these 2 buy signals right here. The reason I say that is because these are the last times where Ethereum had a buy signal and it managed to push into the reversal zone, had bullish EQ cloud, and the trend catcher was bullish well above the EQ cloud when that took place. Now, remember, that buy signal on Ethereum is not as bullish as the buy signal over here on Bitcoin, but it is still nonetheless quite bullish, and that is something that we're excited about. If Ethereum does break above 1677 here, we very well may be off to the races. The final question then becomes, what's the catalyst that'll cause it? Is it going to happen on its own? Or could next Tuesday be the day that the bulls just break out of their pen? That's what we're going to discuss in the next segment. But that took us perfectly to the half-hour mark, so let's go ahead and read some chat. Really appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Thank you guys so very much. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. And make sure to go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't already. Thank you guys. And make sure to hit that post notification bell so you won't miss a single stream. Looks like we had a donation. All right. Giordi Nakamoto. Hey, Jebb, could you take a look at the XTP chart? It's Tap Global's token, and they launch in the US in April. Been sideways a while, worth a buy. I could look at the chart, but I'll go ahead and tell you right now, I am not familiar with that project, so looking at the chart isn't going to give you much to go off of, especially if it's an ICO or a new project, because you can't, in that aspect, go just off of technicals. Technicals are secondary to the fundamentals in that context. In Bitcoin and Ethereum right now, the technicals are really kind of driving things, because the technicals are very important right now. However, as we always say, you have to have the broad, full picture. You're not going to be able to tell what, I've been called the king of weird analogies, so I just had a weird analogy come into mind. Let's say you've got a rare piece of artwork. I swear, every time I have a weird analogy, I think you just need to go get popcorn because it's probably going to be weird. Imagine you have this piece of artwork and somebody tells you that this is a famous piece of artwork and it's worth $100 million. I need you to tell me what artist painted this. And you can only see 1% of the painting. Maybe you can tell who painted that picture. Maybe you can tell by the brush strokes away. Maybe you take a sample of it and you can carbon date it to figure out when it was painted, so you figure out with the lifespan. But to really understand who painted the picture, you need to see the whole painting so that you can say, oh, boom, that's flowers. Oh, boom, that's the Mona Lisa. Oh, but whatever. You're just like, oh, duh, it clicks. It makes sense because you see the whole picture. If you just have a little bit, you got to do a lot of investigation. You got to work really, really, really hard, way harder than you would have to if you could see the whole picture to figure out who painted the thing and to figure out what it is. It's kind of like that with technical analysis. Technical analysis is it's probably the second most important driving factor, and depending on the time, it is the most important driving factor on crypto, but it goes back and forth. You've got technical analysis being the most important thing sometimes when it's a slow news week. You've got the fundamentals being the most important thing when it's a hot news week. You've got the on-chain sometimes being the most important. A lot of times it's less important. The technicals and the fundamentals are very important. If you have the full picture, it's so much easier to see where Bitcoin's going because you can piece together the whole thing conceptually in your mind and say, okay, I understand. We've got the Fed, we've got the SPY, we've got the Dixie, we've got the moving averages, we've got the on-chain, we've got the addresses, we've got the Google Trends analytics, we've got the YouTube. We've got the buying, the selling, the altcoin engine. We've got the dominance. We've got this chart that's about to break out. We've got that chart that's about to break out. We've got this chart that's going through a correction. We've got this exchange that just went bankrupt. You have the whole picture. And when you have the whole picture, you're much more able to ascertain what a market is doing. And frankly, I don't have any of the picture on that cryptocurrency. So me just looking at the chart wouldn't be very helpful for you. And also, I don't know what the project is, so I probably wouldn't want to show it on the channel until I knew what it was, so I'm not promoting something that I'm not familiar with. But thank you so much for the donation, and I do apologize. That's probably a disappointing answer for you, but unfortunately, that's what we're going to have to go with for right now. All right, let's see. Jojo in chat said, hello and good morning to all. Hello, Jojo. Let's see. A digital gold in the next generation of era. Interesting. CPI Berholz said, you called it. That's what I'm thinking what might move it. Elliot Butterfly said, hey, Jebb, I'm a big fan of the show and followed you over the last year. As an investor who does not have a lot of cash flow, do you think I should find a coin and hold it for the next few years? If you don't have a lot of cash flow, I would honestly work on that first, because if you don't have a lot of cash flow, it's going to be difficult to find money to put into cryptocurrency while you're also able to pay your own bills. That's the place that a lot of people are in. I would highly encourage you to think about entrepreneurial endeavors or picking up a second job or flipping things or saying, hey, look, I got this laptop I don't need. I'm going to sell that and get $300, $400 for it. I'll put that in crypto. Find a way to make more money first and then invest in it. You need to make sure you're allocating your money in the proper way. You need to make sure you can pay your bills. You need to make sure you have savings, and then you invest. If you don't have enough money to pay your bills and you don't have savings, at least some, then you're probably not in a position to be making a bunch of investments. You're probably not in the position you want to be able to be to make a lot of investments. You should make sure you have money on the side. So, great question. Is there a coin you should find and hold for the next few years? Put a few bucks into Bitcoin if you want to. Watch it grow. Play around with it. Everybody in chat who's ever bought cryptocurrency, and most of you have, can tell you what I'm about to say is true. If you have even just $1 in Bitcoin and you're sitting there watching it go up, oh, now it's worth 99 cents. Oh, man, I'm going to lose all of it. Oh, man, now it's at $1.03. Wow, it's making so much money. If only that was $100,000, I would have made $3,000. Wow, this is a lot. This is really cool. Just by putting $1 into Bitcoin, you're going to learn so much because now it's visceral, right? Now it's real. You don't ever really understand football until you play football. You don't ever really understand the gym until you go to the gym. You're not going to really understand crypto until you buy crypto. You can be a commentator. You can sit on the sidelines. But unless you're actually doing it, you're not really going to understand it. That's why I don't talk about trading as much as I used to, because I'm not actively trading. I'm an investor at this point. I've matured to the point where that's what I want to do in crypto. I want to invest in crypto. I want to generate things long term. So I don't talk about trading a whole lot because I'm not in that game the same way I used to. I used to be, but I'm not in that game the way that I used to be. So I'm going to talk about what I know, and what I know is the things that I'm studying. So that's what I would encourage you. Invest in what you know. Any new plans for Club DeFi? Plenty. But they're going to stay between me, myself, and I for right now. Don't you worry about Club DeFi. Don't you worry about it. A lot of people have crypto, but still carry a balance on their credit card. Yep. Let's see. A few minutes behind on stream, but the last time Bitcoin had these prices, Ethereum was over $2,000. That's kind of my point, is that I think Bitcoin is going to end up getting passed here pretty soon in percentage gains by Ethereum. It already is today. Let's see. Zenoni Snowflake said, thanks, Jebb. You've done it again with your way with words to help us make connections that lead to more understanding. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Queen said geopolitics question mark. I do have a little bit of a story on that front here in a moment. Joe Foreman said, can you define decentralization? The industry seems to lack a definition so critical to an objective evaluation of all coins, especially those whose fans beat up everyone else's. Yes, let's not have beating up fanboys. Let's not have fanboys that are beating up on anything. That's no good. We want to have an ethical conversation here in crypto. So decentralization, quite simply, is, and this is why it's kind of hard to define because it's such a simple definition and it means different things to different people. Decentralization, quite simply, means that things are not centralized. It's in the name. What does that mean when you apply that to Bitcoin? What does that mean when you apply that to a cryptocurrency that is something like an Ethereum, that's a protocol that's supposed to be a layer one where you build things on top of it? What does decentralization mean in that context? You're right, the industry does broadly lack a good definition of decentralization. That's because it's not something you can so clearly define. You have to define it within its context. It's almost like you go to Merriam-Webster's dictionary and you say, what is the word... I don't know, pick a word that has 7 different meanings. What does it mean? Well, it depends on the context. There's, you go to Merriam-Webster. I can't think of a word off the top of my head, but you go to Webster's dictionary and, hashtag not sponsored. You go to the dictionary and you say, here's this word that I want to define. Well, what's the context? Well, first you got to back up and you got to figure out, wait a minute, are you talking about the word when it's being used as a verb or when it's being used as a noun? That's the first thing you have to figure out. Then you have to figure out, does it mean this because it can mean that, or does it mean that because it can mean this? That's kind of what you have to figure out. So what does decentralization mean? Decentralization means one thing to Bitcoin. Decentralization in Bitcoin means, and you can read this in the white paper, it says something to the effect of, decentralization basically means that there is no central authority in charge of the way the blockchain runs. There is no one single party that does absolutely anything in cryptocurrency. It's completely and totally distributed amongst a distributed ledger, amongst every single person that holds a wallet. They also have the ability to hold a full ledger of the history of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, or a partial ledger of the history of Bitcoin, not and cryptocurrency, I'm sorry, that was a tick, but and Bitcoin, of Bitcoin. So it's decentralized, and there's no central authority governing the updating. There's no central authority governing the token issuance. There's no central authority governing the transaction speeds, the block size, any of that. There's no central authority governing that. What does that mean when you get to Cardano? Completely different question. What does that mean when you get to Ethereum? Completely different question. What does that mean when you get to Polkadot? Completely different question. And that has to be answered on a case-by-case basis. That's a very difficult thing to do, and that does bring a lot of uncertainty because this central idea is that you don't have centralization, but the concept of decentralization itself almost in a way discredits the idea of a central definition. So it almost makes sense that the definition of decentralized is decentralized itself. Getting a little philosophical on you now, aren't we? All right. Let's see. All right, we got to Chat GPT now. Yeah, I've heard a lot about Chat GPT. I'm really interested in looking into that more. Definitely a little bit crazy. Somebody better release that on Twitter. It'd be a hoot. Oh, man. All right. So the next phase of our stream here is this. We need to talk about the geopolitical macro economic factors going into crypto right now and what they mean for Ethereum, because there is a slight correlation as well there. So jumping back onto ETH, I've already talked about several of these at length, so I'm going to be brief. But Ethereum, just like Bitcoin, typically has a similar correlation where it's going down when the stock market's going down, and it's going down when the Dixie is going up. Same thing with Bitcoin. There's a general trend. Now, there's a little bit of a reversal in this trend right now, but there's a general trend that the Dixie is moving down and that the S&P 500 is moving up. That is broadly bullish for cryptocurrency in general, not just Bitcoin. Ethereum is trying to ride that train. If those markets continue moving in that direction, then that's going to be wonderful. And even jumping on over to the SPY itself, you'll be able to see that the S&P 500 has actually rallied quite a bit as of yesterday. In market open right now, it's trading kind of around 412, but this market here, it keeps dropping pre-market and then moving up during market hours. You can see all of the green candlesticks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green candlesticks in a row. Even though the market went down, that only happened because the market opened low in pre-market trading. So the SPY has been moving to the upside quite a bit ever since about Christmas. That's wonderful. Remember, if the SPY can break 417 and break above that with confidence, about 418 actually, break above that with confidence, you're almost certainly going to see that be a catalytic event causing a major breakout to the upside on Bitcoin and on Ethereum. The same thing would be true on Total. Now, there's obviously another important factor coming into the market right now, and that is the factor of the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, coming out on February the 14th, Valentine's Day. That is next Tuesday. This coming Tuesday is going to be the day that we see CPI drop. Now, I talked about, I think on Monday's stream, why that CPI release will probably not be a 0.6% drop like we saw last month around the first 10 to 15 days of January. I'm forgetting the day. I think it was January 12th, whenever CPI dropped last. You're likely going to see CPI not drop by 0.6% due to certain commodities such as eggs going up quite a bit in value, having to do with the way the rental market and the property market, the real estate market, I should say, and the rental market and the rental market. What am I trying to say? The used car market. That's what I was trying to say. The used car market, the rental market, and the housing market. Those trends, and also the fact that gasoline has gone up a little bit. That's going to move that from negative 1.5 on a 12-month average, probably up to about 3 to 5% rally. You're going to see fuel oil hopefully come down a little bit, but we don't know how big that's going to be yet. I would bet that you're going to see 0.3 to 0.5% of a drop. Not as big as 0.6, but still a drop. The last time we saw a major drop on the CPI, you can see on our chart here, was about right here. Let me just go to CPI. Let me just go to CPI itself, and I should be able to see it there. Let's see. Consumer Price Index, let's see. Is it going to tell me what day it was? I don't think it's going to. Oh, it's not going to tell me what day it was. It's going to say this is the first of the month, but it wasn't the first of the month. That's the thing. It was not the first of the month. Anyway, regardless, the CPI data dropped, I think, right here on the 12th. Might have been the 11th. I think it was a Wednesday, wasn't it? I think it was right here. Might have been January 11th. Nevertheless, it was during the middle of this rally, and Bitcoin and Ethereum just took off. A lot of people suspected that we were going to see a pretty big drop on CPI. That was one of the things that led to the rally in the stock market, and also, I mean, you could see the stock market started rallying within days of the rally on Ethereum and Bitcoin, and also the drop on Dixie, and also this sentiment that, oh, things are looking better this month. Now, I think we're looking at something similar. If anything, we're looking at something even more so. Back then, when we saw that rally, there was actually a small drop on the SPY following that just briefly, but now we've broken this massive downtrending level of resistance. We have just this tiny little level of resistance at 418, which is just a couple of dollars, a couple of points away from where the SPY is right now. If we do see a 0.3 to 0.5% drop on CPI, that would bring us down to 6.2 to 6% on SPY. And that would probably bring core inflation down from where it is right now at, I believe, what, 5.5? I think it's at 5.5 down to maybe 5.3. You probably see a 0.2 to 0.3% drop on core inflation, that being everything minus fuel and food, gasoline, fuel products, and food. Then you're probably going to see the stock market jump on that news. You're probably going to see the sentiment jump on that news. You're probably going to see Ethereum and Bitcoin jump on that news. So, it's a waiting game right now. We are trying to see if Ethereum can stay up here above the $1,600 territory, stay above its uptrending levels of support, which I've already shown you. You can see them right here. At least this uptrending level of support, which would keep us above 1,600, if not even this uptrending level of support, which would cause the market to go into a breakout over just the next couple of days. My point is, we are perfectly set up for the CPI to come in, for it to be a bullish CPI report. We do believe it's going to be bullish, but probably not quite as bullish as last month's. However, Ethereum and Bitcoin are more bullish now than they were back then. So too is the stock market, which is the correlating market that causes Bitcoin and crypto to move to the upside. So on February the 14th, there is a very high likelihood that will be a catalytic event that will do a few things. First and foremost, it will cause Ethereum to break above $1,700. Second most, that will then cause total market capitalization to break above about $1,080 billion. Third most, then it will more than likely cause Bitcoin to break well above $23,000, sending the entire market into a rally, and Bitcoin could move all the way up to $25,000. That is the painting that I'm looking at when I get to see the whole thing, because I'm looking at the geopolitical, I'm looking at the macro, I'm looking at the rates, I'm looking at the inflation, I'm looking at the stock market, and yes, of course, I'm looking at the thing that started it all on this channel. I'm looking at the technical analysis. That's my prediction. I think on February 14th, and even moving up to it, you're going to see a buy the rumor, maybe continue to buy the news event, and the market will do very well. We could see Ethereum back at $2,000 within the next 2 weeks, and Bitcoin above 25K. Or at least testing 25K. Love to hear your thoughts on that. Genuinely, tell me in chat, do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I'm a genius? I'd love to hear it. If any of you think I'm a genius, maybe we need to get you checked out, because I'm definitely not. But love to hear what you think about all of that. XTP is a good project, regulated crypto bank accounts, traded on London Stock Exchange, coming to US in March or April. Cool. Yeah, I definitely imagine it is a great project. I just don't know too much of it. Jebb, don't use ChatGPT. They coded it a certain way. Yeah. Let's see. Let's read a little bit of chat, and then we're going to jump into just a little bit. We're going to do just a little bit of geopolitical overview. There's a couple of things to talk about here. Not a whole lot going on right now, at least nothing that really jumps out at me. But I would like to go ahead and touch on it. So again, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what took place, what you guys think is going to happen with crypto. Let's see. Now we are in tears with your depth description of content to describe decentralization. We did and have been in crypto to get that visceral experience since 2017. There you go. Boom. Yeah, and decentralization really the definition is that there's no central authority, right? So there's varying levels of decentralization. That is the core definition, and the core definition is there. You don't have, or you have as little as possible of centralization. If you want a definition, that's the definition. That's the broad definition you're going to get. That means different things in different contexts. That's what I'm talking about. However, broadly, what it means is that you don't have a central authority, a central governing body that governs the different aspects of the industry and the different aspects of the cryptocurrencies specifically. The trouble is, when you get 1 million people together, there must be governance, or you have anarchy, and anarchy does not work. Anarchy is a lack of order that descends into chaos. There has to be governance. You can't completely hard code everything, because at some point the system is too rigid. That's why steel, when you're building a skyscraper, steel is designed, is fabricated in such a way that it has a little bit of sway. At the very top of a skyscraper, there's 100 stories tall. That skyscraper can move back and forth by inches. You're thinking, wait a minute, this skyscraper has 3,000 people in it. It's, 1,000 feet tall. it's moving back and forth by inches? Yes. Because if it was totally stiff, then it would be brittle, and if a strong enough wind came over, the skyscraper would break in half somewhere around the 1/3 from the base, and the whole thing would fall over. That's no good. That's no fun at all. That's horrible. You have to have a little bit of flex in your governance. The reinforcement that governs the way that that skyscraper responds to wind has a little bit of sway on it, has a little bit of flex on it. That is an extremely hard thing to code. That's why decentralization is a difficulty, because if you are 100% completely and totally decentralized, then you have to go one of two routes. Either one, it has to be so firm that at some point it can break, or the project that you're building has to be so incredibly simple that you don't need sway in it. That's kind of like what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is a complex industry. It is a remarkably simple blockchain. It's a remarkably simple set of code that is incredibly powerful. But when you boil down to it, the way that Bitcoin works, I'm not talking about the way the code is built, but I'm talking about the mechanisms, the functionality. I'm not talking about the under the hood stuff, but I'm talking about the actual way that it works, the governance, if you will. It is remarkably simple. It is incredibly simple. You have a blockchain. Every 10 minutes, based on the miners, a new block is added. It uses a hash from the previous block to connect the next block in the blockchain. And then you need, depending on who you're talking to, you need probably about 6 confirmations, that being 6 blocks, to confirm that a transaction has been added to the blockchain, and you won't have a side chain come up and then pass up and usurp the previous chain, so you can say that is confirmed and locked into Bitcoin history for all time. It's a very simple process in the grand scheme of things. You receive things through public keys, you send things through private keys. The mechanism itself, again, I'm not talking about the blockchain coding, because I'm not a blockchain developer. The blockchain development, the code side of things is very complicated, but the problem it's solving and the mechanism it's doing, you could do with a piece of paper and a pencil. If you had 3 people, you could run Bitcoin on a piece of paper and pencil. What you could, just as far as the mechanism, you can't build the code that simply. The code's very complicated, but the mechanism is very simple, so it doesn't need to be, it can be extremely firm. Bitcoin is extremely, extremely, extremely firm. It's very, very tense. But it works because the problem it's solving is very easy. When you get into human relationships, when you get into smart contracts territory, when you get into the territory of building when you get into the territory of building a layer 0 that you're going to build an entire cryptocurrency exchange on top of, answering the question of how you have a little bit of sway while also working only with code, which in a lot of ways can only be flexible if you code into the code for it to specifically be flexible. That's a very difficult problem. And that's what I mean when you say decentralization means different things to different cryptocurrencies. It means one thing to Bitcoin, completely, totally decentralized. The only central thing that ever occurred is it was made by one guy, but he's gone. Who knows where Satoshi Nakamoto is, whether he's alive, dead, who knows? Doesn't really matter at this point. With Ethereum, with the other projects, it's not that simple. We like to say the idea of complete and total decentralization because Bitcoin did that. Bitcoin was solving a different problem than Ethereum was. So I'm not sitting here and saying that I love centralization, because I don't. What I am saying, though, is that in the same way that skyscraper swaying back and forth by 4 or 5 inches could cause some cracks in a window somewhere, or it could cause some cracks in the steel, or it could cause some cracks in the exterior of the building, that's a necessary evil at some point, because you don't have a choice. So that's what blockchain developers run into, and I think it would be wise for us to understand the very difficult problem that they are facing. Don't besmirch anarchy, Jebb. Hey, anarchy works if you've got 2 people and they both love each other and they're going to treat each other very nicely. If you have 1 million people, good luck making that work. Because anarchy, by the way, is completely unsustainable. Because in an anarchic environment, somebody rises up 99% of the times through violent means to have dominion over the rest. Anarchy is an inherently unstable system because it is in human nature to try and instill governance on others. Anarchy not only does not work, anarchy also is, as far as what I mean, is true anarchy. I'm talking true anarchy where there's literally absolutely no power over anybody. True anarchy, when you're talking about a human society and civilization, will always descend into some form of governance, whether it be a kingdom, whether it be mob rule, whether it be fascism, dictatorships. In some cases, it descends into democracy, but normally it descends into something much worse. So anarchy and chaos is rules without rulers. That's a good point. And the only way that that has ever been possible has been with blockchain. So Bitcoin, in a way, is an anarchic system. And don't get me wrong, I understand the history in cryptocurrency of the crypto anarchists that pretty much started this whole industry. I love the idea of having rules without rulers. That's a great idea if it's possible. It's not always possible in human affairs. In Bitcoin, it happens to be possible because it can be hard-coded. But you do have to be very careful with it. This guy's a moon boy. I'm done here. What? When did I say I'm a moon? What? How am I a moon boy? I don't get that. Okay. Flare staking in chat also. Let's go. Does Jebb have any higher education? I went to college for a semester. Then I dropped out. Sounds like you follow Jordan Peterson amongst many things. You were very well read for your age. I have read 12 Rules for Life. I did used to follow Jordan Peterson. I haven't followed Jordan Peterson in a while now, but I do know that he kind of sounds like Kermit T. Frog. Queen said, is Sarah still in the studio? Yes, she is. She's right there. Let's see. Decentralization, almost by definition, requires a decentralized definition. Now, that was worthy. Thank you. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that you have to, it has to mean different things in different contexts. That's the tricky thing of trying to nail down that definition. And that is the tricky thing of bringing unity in the cryptocurrency market beyond all of the different cryptocurrencies, because they all have different definitions. They all have different ideologies that they're running on. They don't have one centralized definition and ideology that they're running on. And typically, you find unity around a central ideology. All of them have competing ideologies, and that's led to factionalism between Ethereum people beating up Cardano, Cardano beating up Ethereum people, Bitcoin people beating up these people beating up other people. Stop beating each other up and realize, hey, we all don't have the exact same solution, but we are all fighting the same problem, and that is that central authority is not always the best solution to things. Hope Sarah is currently healthy and happy with the baby, with the baby. Oh yeah, with the baby bump. Yes. We are looking forward to meeting our daughter. You guys are defending me on the moon boy thing. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't think I'm a moon boy. If I'm a moon boy, you can tell me. Like, tell me, hey, Jebb, you're being a moon boy. All right, I'm open to the correction. All good with it. Siobhan Golay said, what are your thoughts on XRP? Has seen a lot of bear markets and still in the same place of ranks. Not in the same place of ranks. It used to be solidly in number 3. Now it's solidly barely in the top 10. So I would just keep that in mind. Now, the point I think you're making, though, not to take what you're saying out of context, is that it is still saying in the top 10. That's true. XRP's got to get through this court case, and this court case is taking forever. XRP, at the same time, has to become the darling of the public image that it used to be. That's going to be hard. It's got a PR problem, being caught up in court for that long and being mixed up with big banks. I'm not saying it's a bad project, because I actually don't think it's a bad project. But it does have a bit of a publicity issue. It needs a manager. I think Jebb's diet has too much grease and saturated fats in it. I eat almost nothing of that anymore. Like, literally, here's my breakfast. Sarah's laughing. I am eating strawberries and grapes, and it was awesome. Sarah just facepalmed. What's wrong? Hey, it's better than saying this is my breakfast. Pop-Tart over here. I haven't opened that. I'm eating the fruit. Flare Staking said, hey, Jebb, how's the health been of the channel? Been since the Exodus, and yours and Sarah's health been? Sarah and I have been under, I'm not going to lie, quite a lot of attack from the enemy. There's a lot going on in our life that we're trying to get set up properly. We're looking forward to our daughter being here, because I think things are going to start, believe it or not, I think things are going to start becoming more stable and more calm after that case. Now, we probably will be getting less sleep, and normally it is a little bit more difficult for me to pull my thoughts together when I don't have a lot of sleep. So just be aware the first few months after our daughter's here might be a little bit difficult on me for trying to connect the dots on what I'm making. What I'm saying here on YouTube. So I'll probably be leaning more on pre-recorded content a little bit more. But yeah, anyway, as far as how's the health of the channel been, the health of the channel, I'm really excited about where the channel is. Now, obviously, we want to do a few things with the viewership, and we want to do a few things with the content, but I'm really excited about the health of the channel right now. Jebb, would you ever go back on Around the Blockchain? I miss those days. I want to go on Around the Blockchain. I'm waiting on a response from the ATB team. So you guys can go and bug them and say, hey, send Jebb an email. Don't forget the protein, Jebb, or you will shrink. Totally. We had some chicken last night. Let's see. It was really good. I do love some protein. Love Chipotle. Who likes Chipotle? Oh, I forgot the last news. Okay. It's very, very short, and it is a little bit of a kind of a nothing story. So I'm not a nothing story. I mean, this is a serious thing, but as far as on the geopolitical stage, not that big of a deal. Fire breaks out a Russian oil refinery near Ukrainian border. I just saw a few reports about this morning. There's a Russian oil refinery. As you guys know, one of the big exports from Russia, one of the main exports that they have left is oil. That oil refinery very near the Ukrainian border was important for exporting oil. I believe that was one of the refineries that refines much of the oil that comes in from Siberia and the Ural Mountains territories of Russia, refines it, and then ships it out on oil tankers through the Black Sea down to the Mediterranean. You could fact check me on that, but I do believe that's where a lot of that oil is going. That was potentially an attack from the Ukrainians. They've already done multiple attacks inside of Russia. And we've also already seen anti-aircraft guns put on top of different buildings in Moscow because they do expect that there could be air raids on Russia's capital, Moscow. So wouldn't be surprising if the Ukrainians did that. To my knowledge, they have not actually claimed that it was them that did that, but yes. All right. Really appreciate all of you guys tuning in. I am going to have to go ahead and wrap it out here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And make sure to sign up for Lux Algo. Use coupon code Jebb, Jebb, for 20% off at checkout with the link in the description box down below. Oh, I got a real good feeling about this year. I'm very, very excited. A lot of it's going to take some time, but I've got plans. Very excited about it. Cannot wait. If you guys do enjoy this kind of content, like I said, subscribe, tune in at 10 a.m. Eastern every single weekday. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.